Good evening and welcome to Democratic TV, television for Democrats by Democrats. Thank you for joining us this evening as we hear from Democratic candidates for the Tennessee House of Representatives from Knox County. Tonight, I'm with Justin Davis, who is seeking to unseat a Republican incumbent in the House District 14. Welcome to DTV, Justin, and please tell our audience something about yourself, who you are running against, and why are you running for this seat in the Tennessee House of Representatives.
I'm a Knoxville native, and I'm running against Jason Zachary, who is the incumbent Republican, and we're out in the Farragut, West Knoxville area. Very great area, a lot of great people. Very happy to be their representative from the Democratic Party.
Okay, what are some of the public policies that you want to affect when serving the Tennessee State House or the House of Representatives? And I guess when asking that question, I'm asking a little bit about why did you choose to run in the first place?
Right. Well, I chose to run because I feel like people aren't being properly represented in the district. You know, we've got a representative who's not listening to his constituents. He's a bit of an extremist, in my view. And so I feel like people need representation that, you know, is going to listen to them and listen to their thoughts, their concerns. And that's what we've been trying to do as we're going out knocking on doors. And you're finding a lot of issues that people are concerned about. Medicaid expansion is one. We were very close in previous sessions getting Medicaid expansion passed. We're a few votes away. So if we can flip a few of these seats, we're going to make that possible. In that case, we can bring those federal tax dollars that Tennesseans are already paying to Nashville or to D.C. back to the state to work for us. We can reopen those closed hospitals, ensure more of our people, better combat the opioid crisis. I also hear concerns about our education system. My opponent wants to arm teachers with guns. I want to arm them with the tools to teach our students, get our teachers pay raises, and boost our education system up to where it should be.
Sounds like you got a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
A lot of good reasons. And also it sounds to me like you're looking to be part of a team that makes a difference rather than an individual in there making what I call bumper sticker slogans.
Very true.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some of the public policies? You went through a list of them there, but if you could be specific about what are some of the policies that you want to place special emphasis on, where do you want to bring your expertise to bear, and where do you want to represent your constituents to the legislature in?
All right, well, like I said, I feel like education is key to success here in our state. So I would like to, be sure that we're getting teachers pay raises because we're losing a lot of really good teachers. Some of them are going to other areas to teach. Some of them are leaving the profession altogether, and because of standardized testing, which is creating more stress, their pay is not matching, rates of inflation. So we got to get our teachers pay raises. That way we're keeping qualified teachers in our schools. We've got to boost public education, spending on public education. We don't want to lose money to vouchers, which is another issue that Mr. Zachary has taken up. So we want to keep that money in our public school system. I feel like when our schools are strong, we've got a well-educated workforce. Businesses are more likely to come in, tap into that workforce, and that means more job opportunities for our citizens. It means access to employer-based health care. So you just got a better quality of life for our citizens, and they're, when they got that health care, then they're healthier, which we're failing our citizens in. We've got very poor health here in East Tennessee and across the state, really. So, once we do that, quality of life raises. Let's expand Medicaid, as I just said, bring those federal tax dollars back to work. That way we're ensuring more of our citizens. I think those are two key issues right off the bat that we can get to work on.
Now, are those policies that your constituents are asking for? Are those issues that are important for the state? But I guess what I'm looking for is, what are your constituencies asking for from you as you're doing your campaign? What are you learning from them?
They are, and I've talked to a lot of teachers, a lot of retired teachers, a lot of parents who are concerned about their children's education. So those are kind of the biggest issues I'm hearing about. We also hear a lot about the opioid crisis, which my opponent recently said, government can't fix. I understand we can't fix it alone, but I think that we can take the lead in that. I think that we can get community groups involved. We can definitely provide funding for, measures that are making progress and cutting back the opioid crisis, because with this crisis we're also seeing a rise in crime, elderly abuse. We can't back away. We've definitely got to take this on and not run from the hard issues, which is why I wanted to run, because I believe that we need leadership that's going to stand up for our people.
When it comes to the opioid crisis, I mean, first of all, the opioids are theoretically regulated drugs, and so to fix it, you have to deal from the regulatory side as well as providing the social services, and it just logically makes sense.
Exactly. Yes, and we've seen that Republican leadership has favored big pharmaceutical companies in the past, so we need to stop that. As I said, we need to get the big money, the corporate money, out of politics. That way, it's not influencing the leader's decision. So, let's take it on from that point of view, and then also provide the funding that's needed for, prevention and rehabilitation.
What, if you could look back on the last 8 or 10 years, last 6 or 8 years, what policies that you see the legislature has implemented would you like to see reversed or modified or adjusted?
Well, we've got kind of a few broad things, which we can look at immigration. There's been some issues there with some of the legislation passed. Also, we've loosened a lot of gun laws here in the state, which I'm a supporter of the Second Amendment. And there's hunting and shooting is big here in East Tennessee, and so I'm certainly in favor of the Second Amendment. I'm not against it. I know Democrats are always, or Republicans say Democrats are going to take your guns. We're not going to do that, but we do need universal background checks, things like that, so that we're keeping the guns out of the hands of people who don't need them. And so those are some issues, and I was also told by a very young constituent that our current representative has cut recess. So let's bring recess back to our schools. Let's give them the full amount of time. That's good for, they need to recharge their batteries in a long day of school. So our representative needs to be focused on things that are important and not silly things like that.
My sense is, Justin, that our legislature over the last since that big wave went through us in 2010, that the constituency for the legislators has been the lobbyists rather than their voters. That they depend on voter turnout being fairly light, and so they can sneak in and talk, not have to talk to the constituent, but rather talk to the lobbyists. So that, hopefully, from what you've said, that's going to be different if you're in that seat at this point. You're going to listen to your constituents versus the lobbyist from who knows where.
Well, certainly. We have taken no corporate PAC money, actually no PAC money. So, I want to represent the constituents, not the big corporations, because that is one of the big complaints that I hear from both sides when I'm talking to Democrats and Republican voters, is that they're really concerned about the influence of big money in these campaigns. So, yes, we want to be sure that once elected, we're listening to the constituents. We've got a lot of momentum. There's a big push for Democrats here in 2018 and definitely in 2020. So we're going to force these representatives to listen to the people again.
How do you believe that you can influence the rest of the legislature? Because you're one of 99, you'll be one of 99 votes in there. So you'll have to build teams in there. What in your experience do you think gives you a chance to do that effectively?
Certainly, and I want to be one of those people who is capable of reaching across the aisle to get things done. I feel like that's important. People are, kind of frustrated with the way things are working in Nashville. There's a lot of party division that's keeping things from being done. People want results that's going to benefit them. So I'm certainly willing to reach across the aisle, work with my Republican colleagues. I come from a conservative family, so I have experience in, talking to people, listening to their points of view, getting my points of view across too, and just learning to negotiate with people. I come from management positions, so I understand the importance of, making those tough decisions, but also being able to work with a wide variety of individuals.
And build coalitions and build compromises where they need to be compromised.
Yes, you have to.
To be effective instead of just drawing lines and say yes or no.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that. once you're elected, what will you continue to do for your constituents in terms of getting feedback from them? As a campaigner, you can knock on doors and get that information directly. Now, what mechanisms do you think you'll use when you get into office as to listening and hearing?
Right.
You know?
Any lines of communication. I mean, my phone will always be on. My door will always be open. Even if you have an opposing view, I'm there to listen. I feel like that's the important aspect of being a representative, is listening to the people. Just because they have an opposing view doesn't mean you can brush them aside. So I think that that'll be important. I will be back in the community, listening to people, taking part. We want to give people a voice again in this campaign, and once we get elected, go to Nashville, we want those people to have that voice.
There doesn't seem to be any reason why a legislator can't be an advocate for a particular perspective, but that doesn't mean that you draw the line and say, if it doesn't go my way, I'm going to not work on making something work for us. I mean,
Right.
you can do that. I mean,
I agree.
I think you can be a leader. I think one of the problems, and I guess I'm editorializing here a little bit, but one of the problems I see with our legislative leadership is there isn't. I mean, the leadership is they're doing what's expedient for the moment rather than trying to change their constituents' minds or even dealing with the constituents' troubles and problems effectively. It's either one way or the other, and I think that's awful.
I agree,
You
and I
know.
think that needs to change.
Yeah, it does, exactly. And so you're planning to at least bring that change to District 14.
Yes, we are, and hopefully we can influence some of the other legislators
Yeah,
to take that
exactly.
change on as well.
One of the most important things you can do, I think, is getting face-to-face with as many voters as possible. So I'm wondering, how are you doing that, and how do volunteers who want to work with you on this campaign get in touch with you, and what do you need them to do?
Right. Well, I mean, I've been out knocking on doors. We've gotten a lot of attention for the doors we've been knocking. I can knock, 100 plus in a day. So that's what we're trying to do, is that face-to-face interaction, any meetings that we can attend to talk to concerned voters. I always like to listen more than I do the talking. So, I like to go to the doors, ask people what's concerning them, what their thoughts are on how we can improve the state. We're out making phone calls. We got a great group of volunteers who are out there making calls, knocking doors, those sorts of things. They can reach us, if someone would like to volunteer, reach us through our campaign website, which is votejustindavis.com. We're always looking for more volunteers because we want to contact as many voters as we can, listen to their thoughts and concerns, and push to victory here in 2018.
What is the reaction you're getting from the people you're talking to when you knock on someone's door? What's the reaction you're getting when you do that?
I can say when I'm knocking on those Democratic doors, they're very excited. They're not used to having Democratic candidates, so that's a lot of fun when they crack the door just a little bit and you tell them that, hey, I'm the Democratic candidate, and they get really excited. And even knocking on some of the more conservative voters' doors, they're excited to have someone come to the door, and someone who's willing to listen to their thoughts and concerns. So it's been a really great experience and something that I enjoy a lot.
One of the things that is good this year in Knox County is that every legislative seat in Knox County every voter has a choice between a Democrat and a Republican on the ballot.
Right.
And my assessment of the Democratic candidates are that we've got very high quality people who can actually do the job if they're elected. So we're looking forward to that. I guess one of the other things is how many volunteers are you going to need between now and the end of the campaign?
As many as we can get.
Okay, just everybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
no cap on it.
No cap on that. All right. Anyway, well, that sounds good, Justin. We're just about out of time, and to our audience, thank you for this interesting discussion, and thank you, the audience, for joining us this evening. DTV will continue in a couple minutes.